Today on Random Access, we're talking with Michael Essany, and you may or may not recognize Michael, but he was a blast from my past here at the Hollywood Show, and I realized that I'd seen him for years on E! Michael, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm so happy to run into you and have a chance to talk for a few minutes.
I actually knew Michael Essany trivia. I knew that you were on after the Anna Nicole Smith show.
I even forgot that.
And I knew where you were from.
I even forgot that. It's amazing how much you know about me.
The one interview I remember was when you interviewed Carrot Top.
Carrot Top, yeah, that was oh goodness, that was the late '90s. I want to say, like around 2000. He was in town to do a show and was kind enough to come by our old studio, which was my parents' living room, and to do our show. He's a good guy, very good guy.
Well, let's rewind a bit. Let's talk about how we got started. Now, Michael is what I would say a pioneer in somewhat of video blogging, because you started basically a talk show out of your parents' home, and you started interviewing celebrities way back when. Now let's fill in the blanks.
Well, the distribution channels were a little bit different in the late 90s. There was something called cable access television, which in every community in the country where there's a local cable provider, there was generally one channel, one station that was allotted for public use, meaning you could apply for a small chunk of airtime at no charge, and then it would be your responsibility to produce content for that time slot. Nobody ever really watched public access. It was, something for sometimes like town council meetings would be filmed and put on there. It was never really used for an entertainment vehicle, at least not very efficiently. And I was a kid. I was 12 years old. I wanted to start my own show, and there was really no other medium available to me. This was pre-YouTube. This was everything digital. So we started producing this local talk show with home video equipment in my parents' living room. But we did it in a way that was, it came across at least somewhat professional. We got celebrities to come on it, and then it grew. And we did it for 7 years, and it got picked up by the E! Network, as you had mentioned, and we followed Anna Nicole Smith for a couple seasons, and it's still airing. I know it's airing in reruns around the world still, because every 6 months I'll get like a check for like 18 cents in some foreign currency. So I know it's out there, and given the small size of the check, like maybe 2 people are watching at 4 in the morning. But those 2 people I love and appreciate.
Well, Michael, let's fast forward a couple of years and think what would have happened if YouTube was available back then and this was a regular series on YouTube.
It's tough to speculate. I don't know if it would have been easier or harder for me, because it's tough to stand out when you're doing a local show and you want to go national. That's really tough. But at the same time, today everybody's on YouTube, so it's also hard to stand out. So I think, regardless of the era in which you worked and attempted to accomplish something, I think it all goes back to a central compelling point, which is you have to find a way to separate yourself from the crowd. For me, it was doing a show at home and putting a creative spin on the content. I would like to think that would have worked either on cable access or on YouTube. I don't know that for sure. But when people ask me that, my response is always, do the most innovative thing you possibly can in whatever channel you're in, and that's no guarantee of success, but that's your best shot at it.
I guess one difference would be if you asked the wrong question or came off boneheaded or whatever, people could just swear at their TV.
Yeah.
Now they can write back a comment on YouTube and harass you a little bit or give you that time.
Again, that's a double-edged sword. I mean, I love the idea of almost instantaneous feedback. You can kind of get a feel for it. It's like performing in front of a live audience. They let you know right away whether you're doing a good job or not. People who get to hide behind the veil of anonymity can be a little more harsh. I've always found that all the people who like what you do don't say anything, and the few critics sound like a mob of people.
Right.
So take the good with the bad, but feedback is always a good thing, as long as it's constructive. Right. If it's not constructive, then learn to have a thick skin and ignore it.
There you go. Now bring us up to speed. What's Michael Essany up to these days?
Just this past year, I've completed 3 different pilots for 3 different networks. Whether or not they get picked up is... no one knows. I don't know. I didn't even remember I was on after Anna Nicole Smith. What do you expect from me? This morning we were actually in downtown Chicago before coming up to Rosemont. We were doing some interviews for a documentary that's about the big fight tonight, the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight. Talking to people on the street, their predictions. And then up here today did a few celebrity interviews, and now for the last several hours I've just kind of been doing the fan thing, you know, meeting some of my childhood idols and just enjoying the company. I love Rosemont, Illinois. I think it's one of the best communities and cities in the village. It's the village of Rosemont, one of the best communities in the Midwest. So I'm having a great time.
Okay, well, I tell you what, I appreciate you taking a little time out of your schedule. I caught you. My wife thought I was foolish to walk up to a stranger and say, I know you. You were on after Anna Nicole Smith.
You're right, though.
Yeah, anyway.
And I'm glad you did.
Yeah, so anyway, I appreciate the time, Michael, and
you.
good luck with your future endeavors.
Thank you very much. Pleasure being with you.
You bet.